It's Sunday morning. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. I'm Meteorologist Ryan Hoke with today's edition of the Hokey video blog. We've got an active pattern for our Father's Day. Some storms firing up this afternoon, could be on the strong side, so let's dive right into it. We had a couple of storms move through this morning, really just a broken line that moved through Bedford, Seymour, Paoli, Jasper, died off as it got to Shelby County, and that was about it because these storms were hitting the stable air that we are protected in for the moment, but as we go throughout this afternoon, our luck looks like it's going to run out for the most part. Showers and storms continuing across St. Louis. You'll see the flash flood warnings they had just north of that city this morning. Nothing like that for us, and quite a big difference from yesterday when we were basking in all that wonderful rainfall that some of us needed, but unfortunately it was a little too much for some because we did have those flash flood warnings. We've got a front that's going to be draping over southern Indiana today, probably in that position right there, and that's going to help to fire off some of these showers and thunderstorms as we go throughout the afternoon. They'll eventually spread southward into the Louisville area and for the rest of us as well. Here is model number one's idea. This is the RPM model. This is our futurecast here that we usually use on air. We'll show you what that looks like by 3:30 this afternoon. Some of these very small thunderstorms beginning to pop up, little pinpricks on radar, and it looks like as we go throughout the 5 o'clock hour and thereafter, these will really cluster and congeal together into these storm clusters that could have some damaging winds and the potential for small hail in them. We will watch that. This is the view at 7:30. We get up to 92 degrees today with a heat index near 100. Can you believe that? Yeah, this southeast ridge is not playing around, getting us very hot today. By 9:30, it's got a cluster of storms moving through here. This is in a little more agreement with the 4-kilometer NAM, which unfortunately I cannot show on here, but we can at least give you the idea that this is getting similar. The previous run of the RPM was trying to bring this through at midnight, and that's just not going to be the case, because you'll see by midnight things are calming down. We've lost all the sunlight. Now, there is a little bit of a change in the forecast as we go throughout your Monday morning. There may be just a few showers that try to move along areas of southern Indiana as we go throughout your Monday morning commute. These are not going to be a big deal. Most of us are going to stay dry. That's about all there is to that. Let's try Futurecast here on our RPM model. You see it's got a very similar idea, but by 10:30, so later than the RPM, it's trying to bring a big cluster of storms in here. I mean, this thing will probably be wind-driven, moving across southern Indiana, dropping southward a bit too, aside from the storms that fire off to our south. So that's been the real challenge today, is trying to determine where these storms are going to fire up. Are they going to fire up right along the front in southern Indiana, or are they going to fire off just to our south, where there could be kind of a push of cooler air from this morning's storms, kind of an outflow boundary, if you will. There might be an edge to the clouds down there as well. So that really is going to play out the way that Mother Nature wants it to, and it's going to be very difficult to determine this far in advance. I think we'll know by this afternoon. We'll see some of the satellite data trends, and that's really what we're going to be looking at, is the satellite. The good news is we've got some clouds this morning. That's going to help us in terms of getting those severe storms down a little bit in intensity, but I still think that there could be a risk for at least 1 or 2 severe thunderstorm warnings out of this. By the way, this is brand new data coming in from the RPM here. You can see that for 10:30. Trying to advance the storms in just a little bit more there. So something that we'll have to watch today is definitely the threats that these storms may pose. Damaging winds, hail. I don't think the hail's going to be very big, but we'll keep track of that. There may be some 1-inch hail reports here and there, but it's not going to get to like baseball size or anything like that. Heavy rain, that's also going to be something we're watching today, as these precipitable water values stay very high across the area. Current temperatures this morning, of course, in the 70s, but we'll be seeing those 90s this afternoon. Wanted to show you what things look like over the next week or so you can get an idea of what to plan for. What we're going to be in, starting about Tuesday onward, is a pattern where we get storms and a pretty good chance of storms every day. You'll see that Tuesday's chance of thunderstorms here on the GFS model playing out pretty well here for you. There is a slight risk of severe weather basically in this corridor right here, and I do think that is justified based on some of the wind fields that I'm seeing, so we'll be watching that over the next 48 hours for you, because I know that will have an impact on the Tuesday evening commute, trying to get home when these storms are rocking and rolling during that time. We'll probably have another chance on Wednesday. It won't be quite as high as Tuesday's, but it could, again, be a strong storm chance. And then again on Friday, here we go again, more storms across the region. Each day is not going to be identical. They're going to be different setups each day in terms of where the storms will be, how intense they'll be, and especially because we'll have the storms from the previous day playing into the setup for the next day, leaving those outflow boundaries, the cloud cover, the temperature gradients, you name it. It's a very complicated setup, and that's why we can't be too specific this far out. It does look like, though, as we go toward the weekend, there might be a more elevated chance of storms. I have upped Saturday's storm chance to 60%, I should say there, because this blob right here is going to be an area of low pressure that tries to drape a front through here. I think it'll come through faster than what the GFS is saying, but we'll keep track of that. Behind this, though, is cooler air. Get a load of this. This is the 850 millibar temperature plot and the surface temperatures on the GFS. Look at this big bubble of cooler air that moves in. Tuesday at 10 a.m., down into the 60s? Yes, please. Wouldn't that be nice after the multiple heat waves we will have had by then? This is going to be kind of a buckling pattern here. We've got a ridge that's going to be right over us here. It's not going to stay long, though. It's, of course, summer, and ridges like this are fleeting. So I think we'll build back in slowly to a, or I should say a trough here, but we will be slowly building back in, I should say, to a ridge pattern where we build the heat back in from the south, and hot, muggy, thunderstorm chances each day. You know the drill. It's summer in Kentuckiana. That's the way we like it, isn't it? Here's a 7-day breakdown. I want to call your attention to the fact that not only is today Father's Day, but it's the actual beginning of summer. It begins at 12:38 this afternoon. Of course, the summer solstice happening there. Here's that severe weather risk on Tuesday I wanted to show you. There's the slight risk. It's basically just north of Louisville. Along and north of I-64 is where the most concern is at this point. Again, it's just a slight risk, but it's a couple days out, so certainly we can pinpoint those chances better as we go through time. And there's that 60% storm chance for your Saturday that we talked about just a couple of minutes ago. So there you go. There's the forecast all laid out for you. Of course, I'll be in here this evening. Wave Through News at 6 and 11. We'll be tracking those storms. I don't think they're going to be a huge deal. I think that some of the storms that came through last night are going to temper that threat a little bit, but I do think that we could at least get a couple warnings out of there. So we'll do cut-ins on air during commercial breaks as necessary, and of course go wall-to-wall if we need to for any sort of life-threatening situation. Otherwise, I will see you then. Have a great Father's Day and enjoy the day.